I've got Bob with Propet Footwear. Bob, I want to talk about edema or swelling. And, when it comes to footwear for people that are starting to experience it or have experienced it for a while, what is it they should be looking for in footwear? I think the common answer is go with a wider shoe. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, you guys have widths up to how wide?
Well, we go up to 5E.
5E, okay.
And to continue to answer that question, we also have the double insole shoes. What I mean by that is that we have the regular insole in the shoe, and then we also have in the box, we have a filler. So when a foot is swollen or has edema, what you can do is you can make sure that the filler is not in the shoe, right, so that you have that extra added depth. So most of the Propet shoes, just to get a little bit technical here, we have a 3/16 added depth in our shoes.
And when you talk about that extra 3/16, you're actually talking about how much, right? Because you could bring this over and make it narrower at the top. You're saying over a conventional shoe, you've got an extra 3/16?
Right. So the width of a foot is a volume measurement. So it's not just a length measurement. You know how you can put your foot down on a measuring device and you can measure the length, although that doesn't really measure the circumference of the foot. So when you have edema or if you have a swollen foot, you've increased the circumference of the foot.
Right.
So we have added an extra 3/16 in the circumference fit of the forefoot.
To give extra volume for the foot to fit comfortably in the shoe.
Exactly. So if you were looking through our catalog or if you were looking on your website and you see the double insole icon, that is a shoe that would be good for more added depth and extra added depth to accommodate people that have the swollen foot or edema.
Okay. And then when we talk about getting the foot into it, so the instep, which is, I guess it's kind of up. How do we define what the instep is?
So the instep is generally considered the top of the foot.
Okay.
So you have your foot. So if this is your foot, this is the instep area here.
Yeah.
And so this has to have plenty of adjustability. Okay. So you need a shoe that has laces, or you have elastic laces, or you have the hook and loop closure straps like this that are adjustable so that they can expand to accommodate for the swollen foot or the edema foot.
Okay. And then do you typically recommend that people stick with a fabric or a knit shoe over leather, or does it really make a difference?
Well, meshes and knits give a little bit more forgiveness as a fabric, where leather is less forgiving in general.
Right.
So I would recommend probably a mesh or a knit shoe to give a little bit more. And then you have also the more stretchy knits and shoes. So some meshes and some knits are more stretchy than other knits. So the way you can test for that is you can kind of put your hand in the shoe and see if it moves. See if if it'll give a little bit, something like this.
Yeah.
So if you have a shoe, so you'd want to take your finger and just kind of do that.
Just show my camera.
See, you might be able to see that it has some flex. So that's what you want.
Right.
You want a little bit more flex.
All right, very good. And I would imagine one of the biggest things is that a lot of times people, especially if they're just starting to experience swelling, is that they don't there's wide and there's extra wide.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people, that's all they think there is.
Yeah, you're right. So generally nowadays shoes come in medium wide, extra wide, and double extra wide.
Okay.
So for us at Propet, you have medium, you have the wide. Extra wide in men's is usually a 3E, and women's extra wide is a 2E.
All right.
And then you can get extra wide, which in men's is a 5E. and in women's it's a 4E. So that is pretty wide.
Yeah. And
4E and 5E.
yeah, and the reason I bring this up is because at DT Footwear, we get a lot of phone calls from people that are dealing with edema and they don't realize, we might tell them that, hey, you can get a shoe up to a 5E, and in other brands, unfortunately, we can go all the way up to a 14E. That is a very big shoe. It has to be special ordered. But a lot of people just go, I think, at least from my experience, is that they go, oh, well, if I just go to a 2E, I'll be fine. And so it's really important that one of the things Ron will always say, or he'll ask, is that, is the foot twice the size of a normal shoe or a normal foot? That's the first indication that they really need to get up into that 5E or even potentially larger shoe. So for those that are dealing with edema and maybe you're not in a comfortable shoe, there are wider widths available. And that's really important because that volume that you talk about is so much important, is very important, because as people with edema know, it's not that things are getting wider, but they're also getting taller.
Yes.
Right. It's that so now, like you mentioned, it's not just size and width, it's that volume becomes really important.
Exactly. Yes, the volume and the because it's the width of a foot is really a volume measurement. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good to know. For those that are interested, we do have a fitment form on the website on the main page. If you fill that out and literally measure with a soft measuring tape, including the girth of the ankle, which is really important for us, we can give you size and width recommendations, and we can even, when we get into extreme cases, we can give you some specific styles to look at that are really good for edema.